What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another YAOOOO vlog. I wanted to go over an event I went to a couple weeks ago that was real cool. It was a lot of fun. It was called The Power of Play and was put together by the Washington Interactive Network, which is a nonprofit group that is just, promoting informational education, indie game development, game industry concerns in Washington tourism, a lot of things all mixed together. And this was a really cool event, and it's this is, I believe, the second year. I know at least they had one last year. I don't know if there was one before that. And it's definitely grown a lot over the last year's event. I wasn't there, but that was the reports from Kyle and Tom from the Pro Battle League that were there. And so there were some very cool speakers. There were some speakers that were talking about like high-level stuff that didn't really apply to me, about like getting investors to sell your game company. But there was some cool talks. There were some VR talks from Valve, VR talks from other people in the VR industry. Both of those were really cool. A lot of kind of insights toward developers about, things that you can't do, things that help people have like a frame of reference. Like, for example, if it's like a space simulator game and you're wearing an Oculus Rift and you're flying through space, that could be very nauseating and disorientating. But they said, well, okay, one thing that we found is that if you put a cockpit, if you have a frame of reference that, well, the cockpit is staying still, but you are flying through this space, then that helps deal with the virtual reality sickness, I guess is a fair way to describe it. So that was really cool. That was really interesting. Another talk that was really interesting, and there was a lot of games here as well. I'll get back to the games. But another talk that was kind of interesting was from ArenaNet, were the guys that produce Guild Wars. And they had a talk about building a competitive community, I guess, and helping to sustain that. What was really interesting about that was they did not like the word esports. And they mentioned that in their presentation, and then I also had a chance to double back and talk with the two gentlemen from ArenaNet who did the presentation. After the presentation, I had a chance to talk to them. I said, I'm curious why you are so averse to esports, the term esports, when it's pretty obvious you are building an esport. Now, I tried to phase it a little bit more general like that in that regards, but I mean, it is a PvP, and they were talking about the $10,000 tournaments that they were throwing and whatnot, and that is an esport. But it was interesting to hear their perspective, and it sounded like their perspective, it was somewhat relatable to TF2, and their perspective was, I guess, more so that they were just avoiding the term esports as like a marketing decision. They didn't want to scare people off. They didn't want it to seem that they were so focused on esports that they were disregarding their player versus enemy stuff, or their storyline, or all their typical MMO trappings. So there was kind of some concern there about just how it was phrased or how people would approach it. And that was interesting to hear that response. And I mean, to a certain degree, I think that TF2 has had that issue of classification in a sense. And that's something that I definitely, that's how I got involved with the scene, was my feelings about this particular issue of, that to me, Team Fortress 2 played in a public server is an esport. You're not playing it competitively in regards to having an organization, a tournament, a league, all that sort of stuff, but it's still an esport. So to me, hearing say like Guild Wars PvP is not an esport, but we're throwing all these tournaments and all these things, it's crazy. But I can understand some of the marketing thing, and I think there's an aspect of TF2 with that as well, at least in terms of the percentage size of the audience. And in Guild War, the amount of their audience that plays PvP is probably larger than the amount of audience in TF2 currently that plays TF2 in a competitive setting. So similarly, Valve would probably be a little, adverse or cautious in making it seem, not making it seem like they're ignoring a large chunk of their community just to focus on this one small aspect. So that was really cool, but interesting. Getting to the games, though, because there was a lot of really cool games there. There was a game called Lord of the Bats that was also kind of tied into a Make-A-Wish effort and was created by DigiPen students. So that was really, really cool. There was a game that I want to say that the title was like Flamingo, but I could be totally wrong on that. And it was awesome. It was this like Mexican standoff shooter game. I got a bunch of business cards here. I'll see if I can pull up the guy's business card real quick. That game though was really cool. It's like Mexican shootout. Like you're placing your shooters. It's all kind of random. It was all really cool stuff though. There's another game, XO by Jump Drive Studios out of Portland. Definitely in early stages, but I called it Homeworld-esque, but it was, you know, more of a top-down perspective, and you're ordering your fleet around, but definitely kind of Homeworld-esque, where you're trying to survive, but you're never really going to fully survive. So that was a really cool game. There was a bunch of kind of party-ish games that were really cool. There was one called Flip that I believe the producer, Ryan Juckett, actually works for Bungie and makes Destiny as his day job. Flip was super cool. It was like an Othello shooter. I don't know. One-on-one, real awesome. Check them out, flipgame.net. There was a 1920s themed New York poker RPG called Lords of New York, I believe. That one was super cool. That guy's definitely going to be successful with it. A couple other interesting ones, Lifeless Planet. And then there were some more party games. One called Bit Battle that seemed really cool. We just played that a little bit, was super awesome. And another one that was crazy fun that was developed by someone out of Portland, the Portland Independent Game Squad. That's not like one studio, but that's kind of an umbrella group that's just a support of all these people. So the game in particular, though, is called Hardlander, and that game was awesome. It was just really simple, where you're just a little rocket ship, you know, kind of like the classic game where you're like trying to land on the moon or something. So you're just this little rocket ship, and you can just spin your rocket ship, and you can fire your jets, and that's it for controls. And then there's 4 rocket ships, a few different maps, and the tip of your rocket ship is like glass. Like it just touches anything wrong, and you're just dead. But your bottom is kind of sturdy. And so then you're just like trying to like elbow people and just trying to stay alive. And I was joking that the Mario Party strategy of not doing anything was working out pretty well for me. So that was a lot of fun out of Portland. Very cool stuff. And then probably my favorite overall, I mean, there was a lot of cool games, but my favorite overall was this game called Tumblestone. And that actually ended up winning the Best in Show and $2,500 from, I think, mainly from Intel. And it was awesome. Apparently, they were there last year, also won Best in Show last year, but apparently it was quite a bit different in between last year and this year. And this year's game, you know, it's a puzzle game where you have to select 3 blocks of the same color. And it was kind of like... I was saying kind of like a puzzle bobble or bubble, whatever that one's called, where you're shooting things up, but I mean you're not really trying to aim them. You're just kind of stuck in the classic puzzle pit, and you're just kind of moving your ticker left to right to select which column you want to pick the color out of. And you could play this many different ways. I got a chance to play through the story mode. The developer, I believe his first name was Ty. He showed me the story mode, which was really cool, and the puzzle battle mode where you have 4 people across is just hectic and a lot of fun. It's all just speed, but the puzzles that they throw at you actually have a right way to do them and a right way to succeed. And sometimes they're misleading, so it was very easy to get started on a puzzle and then realize that, oh no, I just screwed myself. Everything resets, and sometimes, you know, if you reset once, you know, you do have bad odds of coming back and winning. But there was one time where I screwed up, and then I was sitting there waiting, and I looked over and I was like, oh, all of those guys are having trouble as well. So then I just kind of reattacked the puzzle and was able to win. The fastest time that I had to clear a single board in that scenario was 10.3 seconds, which I was pretty proud of, and you know, fairly fast. So all that was really cool, but then also on top of that, he had like 11 or 12 different modifiers that were kind of, some of them were kind of crazy and would really stretch your mind. And there would be things of like, if you get a set of red color blocks, then your next set cannot be red. So then all the reds are blocked. And something as simple as like that, because of the way that the puzzle comes down, it can actually make it fairly complicated. And especially when you're racing against the other players, it was very exciting. So the Tumblestone game, I mean, he's destined for success. and I believe he's going to be showing that at some more conferences coming up. And a lot of other great games, like I said there, and definitely inspiring for myself and Pro Battle League to try and get involved with some of the indie scene a little bit more and showcase these awesome party games that are out there. So hopefully you'll see and hear some more from us in regards to that, as well as just doing what we can to kind of support all these indie guys whatsoever. I'm going to be working with the Portland Independent Game Squad and helping them out with some events, and definitely excited about the potential there. So once again, Power of Play was a fantastic time, was a lot of fun, and it just seems like a conference that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So definitely keep an eye out for it next year if you're interested in indie games, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this rundown of my impressions of that conference. So thanks for tuning in and watching this video, guys. It turned out to be a little bit long. Definitely appreciate your viewership. Take care. I'm eXtine. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.